All right, so what we're going to do in today's financial modeling session is we are going to try to forecast, or we're going to look at what elements we look at when we are forecasting the income statement, balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. So we are spreading this session over two parts, one tonight and one tomorrow night. Going to separate out how do we forecast the income statement, how do we forecast the balance sheet, and how do we forecast the cash flow statement. So let's hit the PPT first, and then we'll look at the Excel. We're not directly going to the Excel, we have to first look at the basics, and then we'll be looking at the Excel sheet. So first, income statement. I think everyone will know about it. It starts with sales. Then you have COGS, cost of goods sold, which is nothing but your variable cost. Okay. Then you have your fixed cost, so which will be nothing but your SGA, selling general admin, which is going to be a fixed cost. Then you're going to have your depreciation expense. Okay. And then you will have your operating profit. And then you will subtract interest. Then you're going to have profit before tax. And then you're going to subtract tax to have net income. So we'll see how each of this element gets forecasted. We're going to look at it. About coming to the balance sheet. Balance sheet, we're going to right now, let's look at the basics of it. So in the balance sheet, on the equity side, you will have your share capital, retained earning. Okay, accumulated OCI, I'm not looking into picture, and not I'm taking minority interest also in the picture. So accumulated OCI तो India के context में नहीं होगा, hardly any, very few companies will have accumulated OCI, and minority interest could be there in case you are going to have a subsidiary which is not fully owned by you, so there will be minority interest. But right at this time, you're not taking that into consideration. Then you are going to have your liabilities, and we'll have a current and a non-current section in that. Current may I'm looking at account payable, which is going to be with the credit purchases. Then we're going to have I'm not taking a wages payable. I'm assuming that wages will be paid immediately when they're due. So I'm not going to have wages payable over here. I'm taking only account payable. So for today, I'm just taking only account payable. I'm not taking the others liability. And in the non-current, I'm taking all right, I'm here, I'll take short-term loans also. Or let me not take short-term loans also. Let me take only the long-term loans. Okay, I'll try to keep it simple for today. Then we'll look at it little complicated later on. Assets, we're going to have current assets and non-current assets. Current assets, I'm taking cash, which will come from a cash flow statement. So this will come from a cash flow statement. Then you're going to have account receivables and inventory. I'm taking just basics. I'm not taking prepaid asset, advance paid to supplier, I'm not taking it. And neither I'm taking into consideration the investments, HTM, HFT, FS. I'm not taking that into consideration. Non-current asset, I'm just taking land and plant. Okay, land, plant, machinery. I'm not taking the goodwill into picture right at this time. Okay, and then we look at the cash flow statement, which you bifurcate as CFO, CFI, and CFF. And then we'll calculate that, and then we'll add this to get the total change in cash. And then we'll be adding the beginning cash to it. So once we add the beginning cash to it, then we'll get the ending cash. And that ending cash is going to be used over here. So this is the ending cash that will be going over here. Okay, from where will we get the beginning cash? We'll get the beginning cash from the last year balance sheet. Will be getting the beginning cash. So that's the picture in short, which we are going to implement on the Excel sheet. So I'll repeat, this would be the income statement, the basic, the sales, the COGS, the SGA. COGS is variable and SGA is a fixed expense. Depreciation non-current expense, but we need to consider that for the tax purpose. And then operating profit, then interest, then PBT, then tax, and then the net income. And actually from net income, there would be a dividend that will get subtracted, and then you will get the retained earnings. So retained earnings will flow from the net income minus dividend. Current asset, I'm taking cash, receivables, and inventories. Receivables will be connected with the sales. So from the sales, we'll be deriving the receivables, and inventory will be derived from this COGS. Okay, I'll tell you what we mean by derived. I'll tell you about it. The land, plant, and machinery will be some way connected with the depreciation. So we'll discuss how do we connect them with the depreciation. Okay, and then the account payable will be connected with what? Can you think about it? They say receivables is connected with the sales, inventory is connected with the COGS, land plant is connected with depreciation. What is account payable going to be connected with? Raise hand and tell me, please. What will the account payable be connected with? Anyone, please tell me. Yeah, Udit, tell me.
Purchase.
Good. Credit purchases, to be specific. The account payable will be connected with the credit purchases. So this will be connected with the credit purchases, which we don't have it in the income statement. So what we have to use, a simple logic over there. This one, the beginning inventory, which will be available from the last year balance sheet, plus purchases minus the COGS is equal to ending inventory. I hope you are able to recall the formula. How many are able to recall this formula? Beginning inventory plus purchases minus COGS equal to ending inventory. Raise hand, please. Wonderful. So what you will get from the last year balance sheet will be this. This is what you will predict. Okay, I'll tell you how do we predict it, but this will be connected with the COGS. So from that you will predict. This will be from income statement. So this will be the balancing figure, and this is what you are going to use for the calculation of the account payable. Long-term loan, which could already be there in the balance sheet of the company. So already company may have some long-term loans. We'll have to see the repayment schedule of those loans. Okay, so we'll see the repayment schedule of the loans, and from that we'll get the long-term loans. Short-term agar hoga to kaise hoga, kaise karenge, we'll discuss it. All right. So what we're going to do is first we will look at the income statement of the recent year and the balance sheet of the recent year. So I'll go to the Excel sheet. All right, and one tab will be income statement. You can put it IS. Another tab would be BS, balance sheet. Don't while putting the names of the tabs, do not put a space. I repeat, while putting the names in the tab, so do not put a space, because if you put a space, it becomes a little bit of a problem later on when you are going to basically change some formulas. So in that case, if the formula is linked to some other tab, then it becomes a little bit problematic when there is a space. Okay, so try not to put the spaces in the tab names. Third one is your CF, cash flow statement. Okay, so let's look at the income statement, very basics. Okay, so sales, and we're going to do it for 2020, which is the let's say 2021, almost getting over 2021. Talking US, 2021 is getting over accounting year. COGS, this will give you gross profit. Then from that subtract SGA. This will give you operating profit before depreciation. So that EBITDA. Then you'll subtract interest. Sorry, you'll subtract depreciation and you'll get EBIT. Then you'll subtract interest. You will see the practical example also. So we'll download the data and see that. But right now, let's look at the basics. Then profit before tax, and then subtract tax, and then you'll get your net income. Okay, and then we'll just like isme se dividend kitna company is gonna pay out. So let's see, these figures will be available with us for the 2021, the recent year. We'll be looking at it. So let me just take a normal figures. So let's look at sales as 1000, COGS as let's say 400. So gross profit is going to be this minus this, so that's going to be 600. So I'll just bold the gross profit. Okay, SGA is going to be fixed expense, which is like marketing expense and general admin expense. So generally this will be fixed expense. So let me put it as 100. So this EBITDA is going to be 600 minus 100. So that's going to be 500. Depreciation will be dependent on the fixed asset that you have. So you will look for the depreciation figure. This will be available for the current year. So let me say this is 50. So EBIT is going to be 500 minus 50. That's 450. Now interest will depend on the loan outstanding and the interest rate. So loan outstanding and the interest rate. So loan outstanding will get it from the balance sheet, and interest rates would be available in the annual report. So in the annual report, you will see हर एक loan के ऊपर कितना interest rate है. So that you will be able to see in the annual reports. So right now, let me write over here, interest rate is 10% for all loans, but in the practical life, you'll see which loans are from which bank and how much loans are there. So from that, you'll be able to estimate the interest expense. Okay, so right now let me tell you that the interest expense is, let's say, 50. So profit before tax is going to be 450 minus 50. So that's 400. Tax, let's say, is 30%. Okay, so by the way, actually tax calculations, maybe there could be a little bit of more complexity, but pehla hi lecture hai, so we'll keep it little simple in the first lecture. So tax rates, let's assume that they are 30%. So this will be 400 into this 30%. And now when I'm going to drag, I don't want this cell to change. I want it to be 30% only. So I will put a dollar, which is like you can do F4 se bhi aata hai. This we have covered in the first session mein, ye basic wala thing. So I'll put a dollar so that the cell gets freeze. So that even if I drag it now, so even if I'm going to drag it, it's going to be the same. So profit before tax will be from this particular cell, but the tax rate will be taken from the frozen cell, which is 30%, which is what we wanted. All right, and then the net income is going to be the 400 minus 120, so that's going to be the net income. अब ये dividend कितना है? So we in the level 2 have this dividend payout policy. So how much dividend will be there? Generally never connect the dividend with the profit, because no company generally have a constant payout. So if you have put the net income as let's say X and you put dividend payout as 30%, then the dividend will be X ka 30%. But this is something which is never going to be followed by the company. The companies will generally follow stable and increasing dividend. So generally you see the dividend track record in the history, and based on that you will be estimating the growth rate. No, did I become blur? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so you'll be estimating the dividend growth rate from that perspective. So from the looking at historical track record. So what I will do is I'll have a assumption sheet separately. Okay, assume kind of a sheet separately. And over there we will be putting this assumption. So one would be the assumptions related to growth rate of dividend. Okay, and वो जो tax rate है वो भी will put it over here. So we will not put in, generally will not put anything in like numbers like this. This look little bad. So ये जो है will change it. So this will be 400 into, from the assumed sheet we will look at this tax rate. Okay, and then we'll put that dollars. Okay, now it's coming to 0 because वो हमने डाला नहीं यहाँ पे. So I'll put it as 30%. All right, so now it will come properly as 120. And similarly, जो interest rate है, I'll not put it over here. I'll put it everything in the assumption sheet, because it becomes easy for you as well as easy for the others who will be looking at your Excel sheet. It will be better for them to look at assumptions all at one place together. So this will not be actually assumption. What I'm putting right now is this is not an assumption. So I'll just put it separately. This is the interest rate, and even this is not an assumption. So I'll just put it as Control X and Control V. Don't worry, when you do Control X and Control V, automatically the this cell reference is going to automatically change. You don't have to worry about it. It's automatically getting changed. You don't have to again come and put it over there. All right, so this is the assumption. So this is assumption and this is the reality, interest rate and 30%. So we are just putting it together, but we'll have a separate sections for the assumption and separate sections for the reality. So interest rate, we had said 10%. All right, so this is the income statement. Dividend, just the current year ka dividend, let's assume that it's let's say $25. Okay, so dividend is $25. So now let's go. This is what we are not estimating. This is the reality. Okay, so this is right at this time. So this is particulars, and this is the data which will be given to you. So I could have actually copied it from some from the income statement of some company, but right now I decided, you know, let me just put it by myself. So this is the actual one. So generally you write over here actual. Okay, and now over here from the next one you're going to write forecasted or estimated, EST. So EST or FOR will be the one that you'll be using over here. All right, so I'm just putting a center formatting. All right, so now you will be forecasting not for perpetual, you'll be forecasting for some period of time after which you believe that the stable growth rate will start. So let's say 2022 becomes your first year, 2023 becomes your second year, and then maybe you drag it for some period of time where you assume that after which the stable growth rate assumption is going to be valid. So let's assume that 26 would be the last year where you're going to stop the forecasting and then you're going to assume that the stable growth rate will start. Okay, so right at this point, so I'll just assume that the forecasting period is going to be till 2026. Okay, so this is going to be till 2026. I'm going to write it this, although this is not going to go anywhere, but I'm just going to write it for the better understanding for the reader's purpose. Understand, your Excel model probably you could send it to others, and the other guys should be able to read that properly. So this is assumption that you have to tell properly, and then the stable growth rate assumptions. So you'll be putting the stable growth rate assumptions separately, where you will be writing what is the growth rate that you're going to assume in the stable, and that growth rate in the stable state for, let's assume right now I'm going to use dividend discount model, but we can use FCFF model also, FCFE model also. But right at this point, I'm focusing on the dividend discount model. The interesting would be residual income model, which we'll be looking at it shortly. Shortly, matlab, like in the third session or something like that. So growth rate of dividend, let me assume is, let's say 5%. And I hope you recollect that it has to be equal to long-term GDP growth rate. How many recollect that? Should be equal to GDP growth rate of the country. It should be less, should be equal to or lesser than that, not more than that. How many recollect this? And the long-term growth rate in the stable state should be less than or equal to, not more than, but less than or equal to the GDP growth rate. So you maybe can Google and find out what is the long-term trend growth rate of India. And using the long-term trend growth of India, you can put a figure, a 5% figure should be less than the long-term trend growth rate of India. So maybe Google or maybe find out some reports from where you'll be able to get this data. Okay, so one more input we need is discount rate. So which you will calculate, that depends on whether you're using a dividend discount model or a FCFE model, then the discount rate will be KE, cost of equity. And if you're using the FCFF model, then the discount rate would be WACC. Okay, so if it is WACC, then you have to use KD1 minus TWD plus KEWE. So you need WD and WE also for if you are using the WACC as a discount rate for FCFF. Right at this point, we'll be looking at dividend discount model. So I'm using KE as a discount rate for dividend discount model, which is RF plus beta into market risk premium. So we will have a separate calculation for the KE calculation. So I'll write the sheet name as KE. And over here, I'll be looking at RF, beta, and market risk premium. So how do we estimate this? We'll talk about it later on, not right now do we estimate it. So right now we simply use the formula. So KE is going to be equal to the RF plus, plus the beta into market risk premium. I hope you recollect the formula for the beta. It's covariance between stock and market divided by variance of market. How to get the RF and how to get the market risk premium, we'll have a separate discussion. So right now, I'll just put a assumption of RF, let's say is 5% RF, beta, let's say 1.2, and market risk premium, let's say 10%. So from that, we'll get the KE as 17%. Let me put it as in percentage like this by putting this. Okay, so KE will be 17%. And then I'll write discounted over here as from linking over here, I'll link it to this. 17%. So that once you change these assumptions, RF, beta, and market risk premium, your KE will change and automatically it will be taken over here. All right, so this is the assumptions, which are the basic assumptions. And now the assumptions that you would require. So I'm going to put those assumptions. The first assumption would be the growth rate for the sales during the period of till 2026. So at what rate the sales are going to grow. Okay, so you will have to make an assumption about that, and how, on what factors it will depend. The main factor on which the growth rate of sales in the temporary period of time that will depend would be the historical growth rate. Assuming and not assuming, finding out whether the company in the history and the company in the future are similar. If the companies might have acquired some other company, then you can take a historical growth rate for predicting the future growth rate. Understand, if the past of the company is somewhat similar to what the future of the company would be, then past growth rate you can consider as a fair indicator or a fair estimator of the future growth rate. But if it is like that, let's for example, if the company had sold some parts, divested some particular business parts, business segments, or acquired some new segments, in that case, the company ka past and the company ka future will be different. So you can't use the past growth rate. So in that case, you have to do a top-down analysis. So what do we mean by top-down analysis? Again, इसके लिए separate session की जरूरत है. But let me explain you right now. Just a top-down analysis कि company जो segments में जाने वाली है, so उस segments का market का what is the total market size. So what is the total market size? That means how many consumers will be there, and in a year, how much sales per consumer will be there. So for example, if I talk about toothpaste, so generally, approximately per family, there would be approximately 10 toothpaste in a year that will be purchased by one family. And multiply each toothpaste, will multiply it by the price of the toothpaste, let's say 100 rupees. So per family, the sales is going to be 1000 rupees. Let's talk about toothpaste. Then you multiply how many families are there all over India or wherever you're going to serve, how many families are there. And this becomes your market size. And then it will be multiplied by the market share. So not all customers will buy your toothpaste. So you have a competitor. So you have to find out how much is your share in the market size. So based on that, you will determine the sales. So this is called as top-down analysis, the total market size, then what's your share in that. Then year after year, the families are going to grow. So especially as the families will grow, they will stay separate. So they will buy new toothpaste. So the market size is going to expand. And if your brand is liked by the customer, then market share will also increase. So those will be the assumptions that we'll be looking at market size and the market share in that market size. And using that, you will be estimating the sales. Here, I'm not going into that level right now. I'm just assuming the sales growth rate directly. So sales growth rate 20%, and this will be till 2026. Okay. So with the help of that, we'll be able to predict this sales. All right. So we'll be able to predict the sales. So let's try to predict the sales. So this will be 1000. The last year sales into 1 plus G, and that G will be coming from assumption sheet from here, and this will be the G, growth rate of sales. And I'll be putting a dollar sign. I'll tell you reason if I don't put a dollar sign. हमने पहले भी discuss किया, but I'll share it with you. If I don't do that, and then when I'm dragging, then it creates an issue because it's taking a proper thing. It's now taking 1200 into 1 plus G, but that G would be now D9. So this is the changing, which you don't want. You want to have this value as a fixed value. So what we're going to do before we drag, we will put it across a dollar over here and dollar over here. All right, and then we'll drag, and then we'll see properly it's taking properly 1200 into 1 plus same sale, which was having a growth rate of 20%. I'm so sorry. I'll just drag it till here. All right. Generally, you will put it in 2 decimals. So generally, don't show the lot of decimals. So generally, you put just 2 decimals should be good enough. Because what happens is many times the Excel sheet ka printout lena hota hai. So in the printout, if you have decimals, that's irritating. All right. So I mean, round off the figures when you're showing it to someone, so that it will be better to read those figures. Decimals are good in the exam when you have the ABC options, but while presenting, decimals are pointless. So always round it off. Okay. So next will be this COGS or gross profit. So what you look at is what was the gross profit margin or what was the direct cost as a proportion of the sales. So in the assumption sheet, you will look at the COGS as a percentage of sales because it's a direct cost. So COGS as a percentage of sales, or you will look at the gross profit as a percentage of sales. So either sorry, COGS, I'm so sorry, either COGS as a percentage of sales, क्या हो रहा है? COGS as a percentage of sales or gross profit as a percentage of sales. So one and the same thing. If COGS is 80% of sales, then the gross profit will be 20% of sales. So how will you get this figure? Again, for this figure, you have to look at the past. So in the past, you will look at the variable cost on an average has been what proportion of sales. So we look at last 3 years or 5 years and calculate the ratio of COGS to sales. All right. So calculate the ratio of COGS to sales for last 3-4 years and then take an average. Darshan, take a simple average. No need of median or something. You can take a simple average. So last 3-4 years का जो COGS to sales percentage होगा, you can take a simple average of that. All right. So this is, let's assume that currently it is, if I look at it, currently it is 40%. Okay, COGS as a percentage of sales is 40%. Practically, I should look at it for last 3-4 years and then I should take an average. But here I'm just looking at only 1 year. So COGS as a percentage of sales is 40%. So this right, COGS as a percentage of sales is 40%. So using that, we'll go over here and we'll put sales multiplied by the COGS as a percentage of sales, which is over here 40%. And again, I want this cell to remain free. So I'm going to put $and $. All right. And then I'm going to drag it like this. Again, I don't want a decimal. So I'll put it like this and I'll get rid of the decimal. I'll just check it like this. Yeah, it's 2488 sales of that year multiplied by assume C10. Assume C10 is nothing but that COGS as a percentage of sales, 40%. And then the gross profit, I had put the formula, I'll put the formula again, sales minus COGS. All right. And then I'll just fold it and I will drag it like this. Okay. How many have followed me properly till here? I mean, followed me, you also tried it on your Excel sheet. Just want to see. Any doubts still here? Any confusion till here? Let me know. And if you have been putting the way as I'm putting it, just raise hand. While putting it in the Excel sheet, कुछ difficulties आ रही है, तो let me know. Rashi, Janil, Udit, could you put that properly? Like when I was doing it, were you able to put that properly, or were you having any difficulty? Or how many are doing parallelly? Just want to see how many are doing parallelly along with me. Just raise hand. How many are just like watching a movie? No, right? You're doing parallelly with me. So while putting that, did you get any difficulty till now? If no, lower hand. All right. Drishti, you're having a little difficulty? Yeah, Drishti. Where are you having a little difficulty? Drishti, unmute, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to see the KE formula. That's the only thing that I missed out. Everything else I've got.
All right, KE wala thing. So KE has
my formula.
So this is the KE, RF plus beta into marketers plus. So I just putting RF. I'll get this RF from RBI website. So I'll get RF from RBI website. Government bonds yield will be RF. Beta, we have not yet discussed how do we calculate beta. Covariance between stock and market or by variance from market. But we haven't seen actually how to do that. And marketers premium we haven't seen. So I just put these inputs and then I use the formula. It's RF plus beta into marketers premium.
I thought it was marketers premium plus risk-free rate. That's why I don't know why.
RF plus beta into RM minus RF. So RM minus RF is marketers premium.
Okay, I wrote it separately. Okay.
All right, so let's come back over here. So we have come to the gross profit and now the SGA. Now, generally the SGA expense is fixed. Like what does the SGA expense consist of? The board of directors ka salary, top management ka salary, marketing expenses, rent. These are the fixed costs. So they are fixed in nature. So they should not be connected with the sales. Variable costs like COGS, raw material, labor, electricity are expressed as a percentage of sales. This is not to be expressed as a percentage of sales because they are not variable cost, they are fixed cost. So what you should be doing is you should be applying this. Understand that this particular cost, which are fixed cost in nature, they don't depend on the level of sales, but with the years after years, will they remain constant? Like marketing cost, rent cost, year after year, will they remain constant? No, they will grow. So Darshan, at what rate do you think that the fixed cost will grow?
So the growth rate of the total capital.
No, that's not. The fixed cost, which consists of marketing cost, which consists of the rent cost, they will grow year on year. He's right. But at what rate do you think it will grow? Think about it, guys. थोड़ा सोचना है. मतलब ये सिर्फ ये रोबोटिक वाला काम नहीं है, थोड़ा दिमाग वाला काम भी है. Inflation, simple. Rent year after year will grow at a rate of inflation. Simple. Similarly, the marketing cost year after year will grow at a rate of inflation. Like normal salary जो होता है marketing people का year after year it will grow at a rate of inflation. So keep that in mind. Fixed cost will grow at a rate of inflation. Is this clear? Raise hand if it is clear. Wonderful. So in the assumption sheet, we will need to have an assumption for inflation for the SGA cost or the fixed cost. Okay. Inflation, you will be able to get it from again from RBI website. You'll be able to get to see the inflation, and you will see not the current inflation. You will see the long-term inflation rate. The inflation rate which is targeted by the RBI. So you will not look at the current inflation rate, rather you'll be looking at long-term inflation rate which RBI is targeting, the targeted rate of inflation. Okay, so targeted rate of inflation, this is what you're going to put over here. And let's assume that's something like 4%, which RBI might be targeting. Right now, I don't know. I'll have to go to RBI website and find out the targeted rate of inflation for the long term. We'll come back to the income statement again. And now this SGA, which is 100, every year will grow at a rate of inflation. So that's going to be into 1 plus the inflation for the SGA, and then close the bracket and then freeze it. Freezing ke liye dollar and dollar. All right, and then drag it like this. Okay, and again get rid of the decimals by pressing. Abhi main ye kar raha hu to nahi ja raha hai. Look at it, it's not going. So what I'm doing is like this. Okay, and then I'll do like this. Okay, so that will be SGA, and just check by pressing F2. Yeah, it's last year SGA multiplied by 1 plus G. And then EBITDA would be nothing but gross profit minus SGA. All right, so that would be the EBITDA. I'll just bold it and I will take it like this. Now coming to the depreciation. Now for the depreciation, although it's a non-cash thing, but it is affecting our the tax payments. So from that perspective, we have to look at the depreciation. So how will you look at how you get the depreciation? So depreciation will be already there in the previous income statements, and generally the companies will use straight line method of depreciation. तो depreciation में एक होता है कि बहुत ज़्यादा अंदर जाना है depreciation में, या फिर एक है कि just overlook it. Now, if you have to go in the details, then you have to look at the company every year is buying new machines. So वो new machine का अलग से depreciation schedule बनाना पड़ेगा. Okay, so this will be little more level of complexity which I used to do when I was making a detailed financial model. So right now I'm not going for a detailed financial model कि वो new machines जो लेंगे उसका depreciation schedule कैसे बनेगा, and if the existing machines were planned to be sold, then uska depreciation we'll have to remove it. So I'm not going into that level of complexity, but if you are going to go for that profile में शायद लग सकता है that level of complexity. But right now as a generic thing, I'm not going for the depreciation schedule. So we will look at a depreciation schedule later on as and when I see the response from you guys, how much interested you guys are. Right now I feel मुझे लगा था कि many people will be so excited, but number of people are little less. So I'll see the response, and later on I'll figure it out whether I should be having a detailed PO depreciation schedule. कैसे? Udit, you want to ask something?
No, it was by mistake.
All right, no problem. So later on I will see ki how much depth in the financial modeling you want me to go. I'm ready to go into the depth which I know it, but I will see the response from you, and then later on I will take a call. So right now I will not go into the depth of the depreciation schedule. So what we will do is we'll look at depreciation from the last year, and we will continue with that because we'll assume straight line method depreciation. So every year depreciation will be same. Do not link it to sales because it's not a variable cost. It's not like a raw material cost or electricity cost. So don't link it to sales, and don't increase it with the inflation also, because depreciation is based on the cost which was there when you purchase a machine. Cost minus salvage value divided by life. So don't increase it with the inflation. Like SGA का जो concept है, selling general admin, it is a cost of a marketing department or a cost of rent. So this rent and marketing department के salary will increase at a rate of inflation. Depreciation is going to be truly fixed because it is like assuming straight line depreciation is cost minus salvageable upon life. It will be same every year. All right. So right at this point, I'm just assuming that a depreciation will be same every year like this. But there, I'll say it one more time, that there could be a more in the depreciation as compared to just assuming that it will be same every year. Especially when there will be new machines that you are going to purchase or the existing machine will be sold. So understand if the existing machine gets sold, then next year uska depreciation nahi hone wala hai. So you can't have the same depreciation as you had in the past. And suppose if you buy new machines, then existing machine ka depreciation is 50 and new machine ka depreciation will be extra. So it can't be 50 for the next year. It has to be more than that. So we have to have a surely depreciation schedule, which right now I'm not going it right now. Then EBIT would be EBITDA minus depreciation. And then I am going to drag this over here. So this will be EBIT, which is also called as your operating profit. Now comes interest. So for interest, we'll need to see how much is the loan outstanding and we need the repayment schedule of a loan. So for this, we will require a separate sheet. So for the interest and the principal payments, we'll require a separate sheet, which will write debt sheet or we'll write debt payment or debt sheet will be fine. So what we'll do over here, let me first zoom in to it. Otherwise, you will not be able to see it properly. So right now, the long-term loans which are there, short-term loans are not taken into consideration. I mentioned at the start, I'm just taking the long-term loans for today's lecture. Short-term loan, I'll discuss it later on. So right now, I'll just take long-term loans. And right now in 2021, how much loan is there? So this will be available from the balance sheet. So when we go to the balance sheet, this figure will be there. But right now, to explain you, let me just put a long-term loan ka figure, let's say as 100. All right. So this is a long-term loan right now, and we need this till 2026. So I'll just copy this. I'm just pasting it like this. All right. So in the balance sheet, you will be finding the repayment schedule for this. So I'll just write principal payment. Right, principal payment. This schedule will be available with you in the annual report. So उसको ढूंढना पड़ेगा, मतलब थोड़ा pages change करने पड़ेंगे, footnotes पे देखना पड़ेगा. So you will see the loan which is outstanding, how much is payable every year. So you'll see the principal payments every year. अगर नहीं है तो management को call करो and पूछो. They may not respond to you, so you have to write an email and find out. But mostly the principal payment schedule will be available in the annual report. Have you seen any annual report and usme principal payment was not there? Anyone recollects like this? You've seen the annual report, but what sir is saying, ki principal payment, loan repayment schedule was not there. Has anyone seen that? All right, good. Okay, how many have seen the annual report till now? Have you gone through the annual report till now? Anyone has gone through the annual report? So Udit, Hina, Rashi. To read this, okay, you have to read that. I mean, it's important to read the annual report. So in the annual report, you will see this repayment schedule. So let me write the repayment schedule. So over here, 30 was to be paid. Over here, 20 was to be paid, 15, and then 35. All right, together it should add up to 100. All right, so that's adding. Here you can see it's sum equal to 100. So it's adding up to 100. All right. So what will require is loan outstanding at the end of the year. Okay, so this was the loan, long-term loan at the big, I mean, as on 2021, out of which the 30 will be paid. So from 100, 30 will be paid. So the loan outstanding is going to be 70. Correct? 100 minus 30 paid. And simply drag it. Okay, so how did you get this? 70 was outstanding, from that 20 was paid. 70 was outstanding and 20 was paid, 50 remained. 50 was outstanding, 15 was paid, 35 is remaining. And 35 is outstanding, 35 was paid, 0 is remaining. Alright, so यहाँ पे कुछ applicable होगा, so 0 will continue. I repeat, this will be equal to this minus the principal payment of that year. All right. And then I'll be simply dragging it like this. So automatically this will be the loan of the previous year minus the principal payment, 70 minus 20, 50 minus 15, and 35 minus 35. And then this will be like 0 minus 0. All right, so we got the loan outstanding every year. So this was the actual, and then we will write this as estimated. So यहाँ पे मैंने estimate copy नहीं किया actually सब जगह. So sometimes they write out, I mean in the bracket के बाद भी they write 2022 estimates. वो भी I've seen. And over here also I'll just put it like this, estimated. All right, so this is assuming that the company will pay it on time and there will not be any default in the principal payment. Okay, and now coming to this interest. So interest ke liye we require the outstanding. That's the reason we looked at this step now. So now let's look at the interest. So we can calculate interest over here and then link it, or we can directly calculate it over there. But it's better that you have a separate debt schedule. Usme calculate interest. So generally when we calculate interest, we look at the loan outstanding at the beginning of the year. That is loan outstanding at the end of the last year. Okay. Actually, हम monthly पे भी जा सकते हैं, but we'll not go into that level. Even in the practical life, we will not go to that monthly payments of principal, etc. So we'll assume that all principal payments are at the end of the year, but practically the principals are being paid every month as a part of the EMI. But for sake of simplicity, we'll assume that all the payments are happening at the end of the year. All right. Okay, so now we'll calculate interest. So let's try to calculate the interest. So this interest rate, we have put it into the assumption file. The interest rate 10%. We will be using that. All right, so this interest for 2022 would be that interest rate 10% multiplied by the loan outstanding at the beginning of the year. So 2022 ka beginning would be 2021. So this multiplied by that interest rate, and is sale को हम freeze करेंगे, which is interest rate, that sale we have a fixed freeze like this. All right, so it's going to be like 10%, which is assume C15. So that assume C15 is this 10% interest rate, and then the debt of the previous year, the loan, the long-term loan of the previous year, and then we will simply drag it like this. All right, so this will be 70. 2023 the beginning is 2022, so 70 into 10%. This is 50 into 10%, and then this will be 35 into 10%, and then the loan has been paid off. All right, so this is the interest that we'll be taking in the income statement. So in the income statement, this would be for 2022. So I'll go over here and I'll put it for 2022 like this, and then we will be dragging it like this. I'm sorry, I didn't drag it properly. So I'm going to drag it like this. All right, again, वो decimals को avoid करने के लिए we'll do like this. Okay, so चलेगा 3.5 का 4 हो रहा है, इसलिए चलेगा, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Trust me, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. So don't go into that much की how will the reader know this is 3.5 and not 4? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The decimals won't matter while displaying it. All right, and then profit before tax, it's going to be simple, 566 minus 10, EBIT minus interest. Make it bold and drag it. Okay, tax. So we could have a separate calculation for tax where there would be a deferred tax asset or a deferred tax liability. A DT or a DTL could be seen if you have a different income tax rules. But when I was doing it, I didn't do a separate tax kind of a sheet, but there were other people who used to make a separate tax schedule. Especially CAs used to do that. I never made a separate tax kind of a thing. What is the tax liability, what they are paying, how much becomes payable. I didn't go into that extent. So right now also I'll just put a assumption that whatever tax is due for that year will be paid immediately that year. We'll not go into DTA, DTL, that kind of level of complexity. Okay, so we have the PBT over here and tax rate is over here, 30%. So we're using that. So PBT 556 into tax rate from the assumption sheet 30%, and we'll freeze that by putting dollar and dollar. All right, and then I'll be dragging it like this, and then to remove the decimals I'll be doing like this. right? So decimal starting mode. And then we get our bottom line, which is net income, which is PBT minus tax. So that's the net income. We can bold and then drag it like this. All right. Now comes the dividend. So ye dividend hai, that is going to be required for the calculation of that retail earning, because change in the retail earning will be net income minus dividend. So as I said earlier, ki do not assume a percentage of profit, because no company will follow percentage of profit. They will like to have a stable dividend growth rate. So they would like to see the dividend growing at a stable rate. So considering that, you will have a assumption sheet mein a dividend growth rate. So I didn't put it over here. So इसके लिए वो ROE into RR वाला जो formula है, what is that ROE into RR? Which formula is that, Mohit? Mohit has an audio issue. Aditya, what is that ROE into RR? What does that stands for, ROE into RR? Tell others in the chat section, please. It's sustainable growth rate. Okay, that sustainable growth rate ROE into RR. So over here will not be using that, because again RR क्या use करे, ये सवाल है जो right now we don't know. Okay, what is the payout policy that they have been using? So if they have a stable payout, then you can have a RR, and ROE तो ठीक है, net income upon equity से ROE आ जाएगा. But what you will do is you will generally assume that the dividend will be growing at a stable rate, and generally it should be at a rate of inflation. Generally, I'm saying, because many people will look at कि inflation है 5%, तो कम से कम जो dividend मुझे ये साल मिलना चाहिए वो at least last year से 5% तो higher होना चाहिए. This is what the mentality of the shareholders will be. That company last year भी $10 का dividend दे रही है, ये time भी $10 का dividend दे रही है, लेकिन महंगाई इतना ज्यादा है तो same dividend से कैसे चलेगा? This is going to be the illogical mindset of the retail shareholders. So to please them, to make them happy, we will be generally companies have seen to increase the dividend growth rate at a stable rate of inflation, at a generalized rate of inflation. This is just what I'm saying, give you an idea. You can have a past growth rate of dividend. You can see how much the dividend is growing in the past. You can calculate CAGR of last 20 years dividend, and based on that, you can use the same growth rate. What I'm saying is just a view. So the point is, the valuation that we are doing, the financial modeling that we're doing is more of an art and less of a science. So if you look at it, half of the discussion that we have been having for the last approximately around 50-55 minutes was less into the Excel sheet and more outside the Excel sheet. Okay, how will you predict this? How will you predict this? And it was less about the Excel sheet. So that is going to be the case in the financial modeling. And that's the reason just a if you do a like simple course of financial modeling from Udemy or from XYZ sites or XYZ institutions, why a financial modeling, I wouldn't say graduate, but financial modeling passed out student don't get a good package, because this is what differentiates you from the others, because they will simply know कि ऐसा करना है, but ऐसा क्यों करना है? There has to be some logic. Otherwise, this will be simply a mechanical exercise. So what I'm trying to say is you should be able to explain कि ऐसा क्यों किया? What is the rationale behind doing that? So if you link a dividend to the profit, the interviewer will surely ask you, I mean, have you really seen a company which maintains the constant payout ratio? I know in the syllabus we have a constant payout ratio, but in the level 2 syllabus they had also mentioned that a constant payout ratio is rarely being used. How many level 2 guys remember that line? That constant payout ratio is rarely going to be used, because that will make your dividend volatile, and hence that is rarely going to be used. If it is rarely used policy, then how could you link the dividend to the net income? So generally companies follow stable dividend growth policy. So the dividend will be stably increase. Now what rate? So we'll discuss in level 1 and level 2 that it should be G equal to RO into RR. So अगर RR पे वापस आ गए तो retention rate आ गए, then again payout ratio constant assumption आ गया, because G is equal to RO into RR. RR will be one value. For that you have to assume payout ratio will be constant, which may not be the case every time. Every time the company may not have the same payout ratio. So that's the reason you will not be generally using this. You will take the last year dividend and you will be growing it. But again, questions, at what rate? I mean, if you mention in the assumption sheet like this, growth rate of dividend, say, I mean, I have people, many students say, right, say. What is say? I mean, you say with the logic. I mean, you say why you think it should be like 7%. What's the logic? So you have to justify why did you take 7%. So one logic which I'm trying to give it to you would be like, generally the shareholders won't want the same dividend. So if the last year dividend was $10 and this year dividend is also $10, then the shareholders will get pissed off. They say ki last year be $10, year be $10. Despite of the fact that the expenses are rising because of inflation, but company is not increasing the dividend. So they will get pissed off. So many companies has seen to pay the dividend, which will grow at a rate of inflation. Is this logic clear? Raise hand, please. All right. So now let's assume we already have the inflation, but this inflation could be different. So this inflation is specific inflation for the cost, which are nothing but your marketing cost, rent cost. So this will be that inflation that you're talking about over here. And this inflation, which I'm saying will be a general inflation level in the economy, which is why people will invest into your stock, so that your stock will pay them the dividend, and with the help of the dividend, they'll be able to take care of their living expenses. All right, so general expenses. So this will be like a retail CPI based inflation. So let's say this is little higher, 7% as compared to this inflation, which is applicable for marketing cost and rent cost. All right, so now let me go to the income statement, and now let me take the dividend $25 into 1 plus G, and that G is over here, which is 7%, and I'll complete the bracket and I'll freeze it like this. All right, so this is 26.75, and then we'll be dragging it like this. Okay, and then I would be removing those decimals. So this will be the dividend that will be there every year. So this completes the forecasting of income statement. It was a very basic kind of a forecasting of income statement, but which is good enough, because whenever you will be asked to do a financial body, whenever you say that you're going to apply for a job and then you are asked to forecast the income statement, this is the basic level of forecasting that they want, and they want to see more of logic. If you miss out something in the formula, they're okay with that. But if you miss out something in the logic, then yeah, they're not okay. If you link SGA with the level of sales, you're gone. Okay. If you increase the depreciation at the rate of inflation, you're gone. And then the repayment schedule will give you the interest expense. So this is the basic thing that they will be looking for. All right. So balance sheet, I'll just maybe we can do it tomorrow, because it will take time. We'll just be able to start. But I just wanted to tell you one thing in the balance sheet that was about retained earning. So in the current balance sheet, so let me say the 2021 balance sheet. So you're going to have asset side over here. Let me write over here asset. Let me just start making it at least. So this will be assets. And then you will be having a liability. And then you will be having the equity. So equity mein you will have share capital. So what is happening over here कि यहाँ पे वो नीचे गया तो 21 दिख नहीं रहा है. So what you should do in such cases is you should go for view, and then you should go for freeze pans or pens, whatever. So now you will be able to see that 2021 properly. So the equity, I'll just let me bold it. I'll put it 3 things: share capital, actually 2 things, and retained earnings. All right, so this will be available. This is 2021 actual value. So this are going to be available with us. So I'm not making a complete balance sheet right now. I'm just focusing on the equity section. So this will be share capital. Let's say this is, let's say 500 share capital, and let's say retained earning was 1000. So the total equity, let me just put it over here, is going to be this share capital plus retained earning. So this is going to be the total equity. All right, and now we are making it for 2022 and all the years ahead after that. All right, so now what we're going to do is we will take, listen to me carefully, this will be the last part of the today's lecture. So I hope you recollect the formula for the retained earning for a specific year. Retained earning for a specific year is equal to retained earning for last year plus net income minus dividend. I hope you recollect this. Or what we had discussed in the balance sheet, ki the retained earning will change by net income minus dividend. So retained earning will change by net income minus dividend. Matlab, the retained earning in the current year would be retained earning of last year plus net income minus dividend. All right. So now let's go to the Excel sheet. So retained earning for this year would be equal to retained earning for the last. Let me zoom it slightly. Okay, so retained earning for 22 will be equal to retained earning of 21 plus bracket open, or you don't need actually, but take it, plus bracket open net income minus dividend. So we need net income minus dividend of 22. So I'll go to the income statement. For 22, this is the net income, and minus the dividend, this is the dividend. All right, I'll show it one more time. It is equal to retained earning of last year plus net income minus dividend of the current year. So for the current year, we'll go to the income statement, and this is the net income, and minus this is the dividend, and bracket complete. This I made a mistake. I put a equal to the instead of minus sign. All right. So last year retained earning plus income statement D14, which is going to be net income, and D15 is dividend. Yeah, fine. And then just drag it till 2026. Okay, we'll be dragging it to till 2026. So why its retained earning is growing? Because company is making more and more profit and they're retaining it, because they are simply just paying such a small amount of dividend, which is also not going to be logical. Understand, if the profit of the company is increasing so much, they would be increasing dividend at a particular point of time. So maybe the growth rate of dividend, we would reconsider it later. Right now, it's okay. What I'm saying is the profit is increasing like substantially, but dividends are not increasing, which is possible in the real world also. It is possible, but sometimes such a low level of dividend may not be acceptable by the shareholder. But okay, we'll talk about it later on. So this is how we got the retained earning. Share capital, if nothing is given, we'll assume the share capital will remain same, unless they mention to us that we will be going for some acquisition. So there will be new machines that will be purchasing, and for purchasing of new machines, some debt and some equity capital will be required. So if equity capital is required at that time, the share capital will be increased. So right at this point in the first lecture, we are not looking at a company will be buying this, and for that debt and equity would be required. So we're not going into that complexity right now. So the share capital would be constant, assumed to be constant like this. All right. So the equity would be dragged like this, which is nothing but going to be the share capital plus retained earnings. And again, for display purpose, remove the dots like this. Like this will increase, and then this will reduce the dots. All right, so this is how you will get the equity. And now coming to the asset side, I'm not gonna do it completely, but I'm just making a format. So one would be cash, and for getting the cash, you will have a separate statement which will called as the CF statement. This may there would be. So we already have a CF statement. Sorry. So over there you will be having the calculation of CFO, calculation of CFI, and calculation of CFF. And then in the top, you will write total cash flow in that year. Okay, so total cash flow in that year, or let me put it niche. Put it like this. Total cash flow in that year, and then we will be looking at for that years where you are trying to estimate it, which is 22 to 26. So in the tomorrow lecture, we'll see how do we actually get these values. But what is important right now is the total cash flow is going to be sum of all these three. So SUM, sum of all CFO, CFI, CFF. So this is the total. So right now it's showing 0, but tomorrow lecture may will be filling this sheet. And now we'll come to the balance sheet. So balance sheet mein ye jo cash hoga current year ka, that will be given to us. So let's say current year ka cash is 200. So now the next year ka cash will be beginning cash. So like this. So basically the cash which is going to be ending cash will be equal to beginning cash plus the cash flow generated in that specific year. So I'm using this formula. The ending cash is equal to beginning cash plus cash flow generated. इसके लिए मैंने एक separate sheet किया था. And beginning cash will be the cash flow of the previous year. So that's what I'm doing over here. So beginning cash would be the cash flow of the previous year and plus cash flow generated in this sheet over here for that particular year, 2022. All right, I'll repeat. It's cash flow or it's a cash position at the beginning of the year. Plus it's going to be the cash generated in the cash flow sheet, which we will be calculating in the tomorrow's lecture. Okay, and then I'll be dragging it like this. So this will be the 2025 ka cash plus cash flow generated in G6. G6 should be 2026. Just confirm that. Yeah, G6 is 2026. So this is how we are going to forecast the cash. Then we had mentioned we're going to forecast inventory. We're going to forecast account receivables. हम बाद में difficulty level पे जब increase करेंगे तब वो investment पे भी जाएंगे. Right now we are not going for investment. So this will be the total assets. So what we'll do, I'll just put a gap like this, a small gap like this. Then that's what asset I, okay, no, sorry, there would be a long-term asset. So these are the current asset. So I'll just put a little bit of a gap because I will calculate total current asset. This could be required for the ratios like current ratio, liquidity ratio, this could be required. So this will be the total, which will be sum of this three. Yeah, I'll just bold it and then I'll just drag it over here. All right, inventory and account receivable for that year, I'll take it as let's say 300 and 400. This will be given to us. Okay, so this will be the that year. And how do we forecast this? This will be discussing in the tomorrow lecture. ये कैसे forecast करेंगे? We'll discuss that in the tomorrow's lecture. Okay, then comes the fixed asset, so which is going to be given to you for the current year fixed asset, the machines plant. And as I said, this will be a depreciation schedule. Based on that, you will calculate. But right now, you will not be assuming some depreciation schedule. You have a depreciation already there. Using that, you will be getting this. So I'll just write over here. Let's say fixed asset means net fixed asset. I'm interested. Not a gross one, but if you want, I'll write the complete one. So let me write the complete one. Gross fixed asset minus accumulated depreciation. So bracket means it's understood that is minus, and then net fixed asset. Okay, so I'll assume that the gross fixed asset will be unchanged because we'll not be selling any asset nor will be buying any asset. So let's say this was, let's say 1000 and let's say this was 500, or let's say this is 1000, that's okay. And let's say this was 600. So the net fixed assets are going to be gross fixed asset minus accumulated depreciation. As I told you that we'll assume for this session, we are assuming that we will not buy any new asset, new fixed asset, nor will be selling any fixed asset. So from that, this gross fixed assets are going to remain constant. AD, you can think about it. Right now, I'm not going ahead. I'm just stopping. But you can look at this. AD will be connected with the depreciation expense from this. So this depreciation expense is what is going to be connected with the AD over here. And once we get the AD, then net fixed asset will be calculated for that year. And then once we get inventory and receivables, we'll get the current assets total, and then we'll get the total assets. So this we will hold it for tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be meeting at around same time, 9:30, when my level 1 lecture with the February batch and May August batch gets over. At that time, we'll be meeting for a continuation of this. Was this helpful? Let me know by raising hand, because I'm actually very tired. But I wanted to take it because August batch के बाद मैंने वो नहीं लिया था because November batch exam was immediately there, and November and February guys we were doing it parallelly. So I thought let me now take. So was it helpful? Just raise hand please if it was helpful. Because I was initially disappointed with very few students joining, and I was expecting a lot of people will join for this session of financial modeling, but very few people joined. So a little disappointed, but I'm happy that you found it helpful, and we'll continue with this forecasting tomorrow. The first two sessions that of financial modeling that I took was completely different. It was into portfolio management and corporate finance. So if you have seen the first two sessions, it is nowhere connected with the equity valuation or financial reports. It was all correlation, covariance, NPV, IRR. So, but उसमें थोड़ा सा basic पता चला होगा कि Excel sheet कैसे use करते हैं. If you have not seen the first two sessions, do see the first two sessions. Tomorrow morning, if your level 1 November exam is over, and then see this session one more time, practice it, and Then see you tomorrow evening. All right. Take care, guys.